Good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming and joining me this Wednesday evening, 8:30 p.m. for Paranormal Brew. I have a special guest. She's a brew newbie. She's never been on before, and I am honored to have her on. I met her at the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash this past year, and she is just so adorable, and so you can just feel like the goodness that comes from her. We hugged, and I'm like, oh, I love this soul. So to stop prolonging, I'm going to bring her on. Stephanie Cowan. She is the mini medium, and she's Reiki, and she's a medium and psychic and all that good, fun, happy stuff. So let me just bring her on. Hi.
Yay! Hello, beautiful.
How are you?
Oh my gosh, I'm so good. I am so excited for today. I've been anxiously waiting. It's like Christmas.
Oh my gosh. No, yeah, I'm so excited for you to be on. I've been looking forward to this. So I want to thank you. I know you're a little busy lady, and
Yeah.
So I want to just get started by we'll just start about like the normal stuff, how you got into it, and it's I always think that's like a dumb question for people that are mediums and stuff, because I feel like you guys always have had it, but I just like to get started somewhere, and then we go forward. But I'm gonna shut up. I'm just blabbing.
That's okay. I seriously, between you and I, that's why we mesh so well together, because this show could be 5 hours and we didn't even feel like it. So we'll just talk away. I love it. No, absolutely. So I really kind of, to start from, I guess, the beginning, my first experience with an apparition, and really later on in life, where I realized was my first experience with my gifts, was at the age of 7. And my grandfather had passed, and it had been a couple days after the funeral, and I was laying in bed, and, at the age of 7, just, woke up in the middle of the night, and I know it wasn't a dream, but I woke up, and something told me that I needed to go in my parents' bedroom, and they had the door open, and at that time my little brother had been born. Gosh, I think he was only maybe a few weeks old at that, and I stood at the entrance into my parents' bedroom, and the bassinet, that's just, those really old school wicker white bassinets. I'll never forget this. It's like it happened yesterday.
Right.
And standing over, if you will, the bassinet, I could see my grandfather, an apparition. It wasn't, of course, anything solid. It wasn't, I couldn't see features, but the apparition was there, and I could smell him. I could smell, my grandpa just had a certain smell, and it didn't scare me, which, I think at the age of 7 that you would think, gosh, that would probably scare a child. And I just sat there, and he looked, he was looking over into the bassinet at my little brother, just like he was in awe and wanted to, check him out, because he never got the chance. And I just walked back to my bedroom and went back to sleep. And it just was like, oh, okay, this is, I guess everybody gets to see, spirits, And so the next day, I woke up and I told my mom, and I think like most parents, they would say, well, it's your imagination. Um, you know, uh, it, it's because you just had your first experience with seeing, a deceased, body. And I went to the viewing, and at that age, I was like, oh, yeah, okay, well, maybe that's it. But it just seemed so, so surreal. I
Hmm.
knew I wasn't sleeping. I knew I wasn't. And so going through life, I mean, through elementary school and junior high and into high school, I danced and I cheered and, I was involved in everything I could. And I just never meshed with the quote unquote, in crowd of, the cheerleaders and the dance team. And I just, I don't know, the energy was just different for me. And I didn't realize until I was in my early 20s, I went and saw a psychic medium. And my mom loved psychic mediums. I mean, my mom has passed, but my mom used to get into, do you remember Sylvia Brown?
Yeah.
Like, so, yeah, she loves Sylvia Brown. And, um, she loves like John Edwards. And,
I
she
love
was into,
words.
oh, I do too. I
I,
do too.
I
Yeah.
Nobody ever better talk bad about my John. Like I love
Hey,
him.
I'm the same way. Yep. And he's actually been one of kind of a silent mentor to me,
That's
growing up.
awesome.
And yeah, and a lot of people have compared my readings of how I read, how he reads. So it's a huge compliment. But
Yeah, no, that's
um,
awesome.
yeah, yeah. And so when I saw this psychic medium, I was about 21, 22, and sitting across from her, she says, why are you not sharing your gifts? Why are you not doing what your soul's purpose is? And I'm sitting there dumbfounded. And I says, well, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, she went through and saw very specifically situations and memories and things that I went through in my life that I thought were just normal. I thought were just part of who I was. And, I thought everybody could hear certain things or feel things, or see things. And um, then it all made sense. It clicked at that moment. And she says, well, or I asked her, I said, well, what do I do? I don't even know what do I do with this? And she says, well, get yourself a tarot deck. She said that will help you as a tool to help you connect and connect with your individual gifts. I, and I'm going to kind of pause for a moment with that. I know they are gifts, don't get me wrong, but I like to say that they're more abilities because we all have these abilities. We all do. So yes, I feel the gift of being able to tap into mine more, but everybody can do what I do. And so I like to call them abilities. But um, so I bought my first tarot deck and I was so focused on the meaning of every card.
Can
Now,
I ask
it's
you,
average.
can I ask you
Yes, please.
really quick?
Hmm. Yeah.
And I don't mean to interrupt you, but
No, you're good.
I just want to know, like, what really quick, like, what was it that drew you to get cards and then to actually use them? Because when I first started out doing this, like, I'm not a psychic medium or anything like that. I'm a paranormal investigator. But I didn't know, like, when I started out, I trained with a group, and I didn't, I have probably, I don't know, 6 decks of cards over here. Guess
Yeah.
how many
Yeah.
times I've used them?
Twice. Zero. Wow.
You see what I'm saying? I have rooms.
Yeah.
Used them. I got
Yeah.
them. I have a cup for tea leaf readings. Never used it. Um,
Wow.
I had like workshops, like classes and stuff using them, and I thought they were fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I got these things and they've just been sitting on my shelf. So what made
Yeah.
you what drew you to the tarot and then to actually utilize the tarot? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. No. Yeah. Absolutely. No, that's fair. And it really, like I said, it started with her saying, "Get you this tarot, get a tarot deck, and it'll help you." And I did. I went and bought my first tarot deck, and there's so many. I don't know. There's so many opinions out there about your first deck should be gifted, or, or what. I just don't believe in all that. I say if you're drawn to it, it feels good, then you go, And so I did. I bought my first deck and I did the good old, old fashioned, Rider Waite tarot. And I sat down and sat with friends and family. And, I was so focused on memorizing the meaning of every dang card. And, there's 78 cards in a deck on average, and each card has two meanings. I mean, in a basic sense. So what's that, 156 meanings? And I'm like,
Right.
I can barely remember what I had for breakfast. And you
I'm
want
with
me to
you on
memorize?
that one, sister.
And the older I'm getting, the worse it's getting, but I finally just realized that I needed to relax and more or less um, exercise my individual abilities and trust those first, and then use the cards as. And I always tell my clients, I'm not going to read the tarot. We're just using them as a visual validation for you to see what's coming out of my mouth and what I'm seeing and hearing and feeling and knowing. And that is it. And I mean, I love the tarot readers. I think it's amazing and mind blowing how they can know and memorize it. I've used them as more of a tool. So, and once I did that and realized I just need to relax and trust in what I was seeing and hearing, feeling, it just started to flow beautifully. And I've always had such a passion, if you will, of the paranormal. I've always loved, growing up, I watched all of the, taps and Ghost Adventure, Ghost Hunt. I mean, all of them, out there. And my mom did as well. She was so just
My mom too, yeah.
loved them. Yeah, it was, we'd sit there and, and jump on the couch every time, and loved that stuff. And um, I knew that I needed to mesh them together the best I could. Um, so going through life, I never really got the opportunity to really join a team. I always wanted to. Um, so kind of, and I try to sum this up as much as I can, but I got married, had kids, life happened. I really kind of muted my gifts, my abilities. And I moved to Arizona. I got divorced, came back to Utah. And in 2020, this is when it all started. So I have a bachelor's degree. I was a project manager for a big healthcare organization here in Utah. And I thought that's what I wanted to do with my life. I was like, well, I'm making good money. I got great benefits and this is it. And so in 2020, when COVID, good old pandemic hit, the company I worked for said, well, we're sending you home indefinitely. And I got excited. I thought, gosh, I get to work from home. This is great. I've got a small child. I don't have to get daycare. Well, within a few months of being home, my husband noticed that I was going back to old ways. And my old ways is I'm a 16-year recovering addict. So I was going back to my old ways and thinking of wanting to self-medicate again. So he was very mindful of that. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Keep coming, right? I mean,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
I mean, I commend you for sharing that, because that's a tough thing to share with people.
It
But
is.
but the reason you are who you are right now is because of what you've been through. So,
Yep.
I mean, I thank you. And you know what? I worked with a physician that helped people with addiction. So I'm very well educated in that and I respect it for what it is. Um, Also, but prior to that, I was with somebody for 12 years that had an addiction. So I am very
Mm,
aware of that. So I commend you for staying strong
thank
and
you.
being where you are right now. So
Thank you.
congratulations
Oh,
and stay strong. I mean,
thank you. I know I'm going to cry. My gosh. I
I'm very
I
proud
know.
of you. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I love hearing that. And every day is, I take one day at a time, and I mean, back then, I had lost myself, and, I was really, I was more of the pills, I was started out with the surgery and just went from there. And,
Yep.
you know, they,
Cycle after
the,
that.
oh yeah, it is, addiction is a disease and it needs to be taken more seriously. And I've realized that, and I lost myself during that time. And I kind of, I'll even tell you a little bit about that story, but I woke up, this is when I was in Arizona. I woke up one morning and I'm pretty sure that it was, my guides, or, my spirit guides, my loved ones in spirit, whoever, maybe, I don't care. But I heard that little voice, if you don't get your shit together, you're not waking up tomorrow. And I literally stopped that day. I detoxed myself, which I would never recommend that to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
It was 3 months of hell,
Mm-hmm.
but it made me who I am today. And it's also, I know for a fact, what has helped me realize what my soul's purpose is. And so I had to go through that to get to where I am now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. A lot of
It's,
people have this misconception, that addicts are just doing it to get high and this and that. But I mean, and there are some people that do that. But
sure.
for the most part, it's people, unfortunately, in situations like yourself,
Yeah.
the pain.
Yeah.
Once if you're in pain for a really long time and then you get a surgery and it makes you feel better, and they're like, take these every 8 hours,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you're sitting there, you're like, wow, I don't have any pain. And all of
Yep.
a sudden you start to feel that not at the eighth hour, but at the seventh hour, right? So you take
Yep.
it because you don't want to feel the pain again. And then you're so worried about feeling pain, then you take it a little earlier. And then you take it a little
Yep.
earlier. So the 4 a day becomes 6 a day because you're taking it earlier. You know what I mean? And so then it
Oh
just
yeah.
vicious circle. And a lot of people don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
It's, you know, being in pain like that. I saw my mother go through it. She had 3 back surgeries and still never had pain relief. She had to take medications, and
Sure.
she didn't abuse them, but she needed them. She was
Yes.
addicted.
Yes.
She wasn't abusive, but she needed them, and she was addicted to the relief of the pain. Okay,
Well,
that's what.
yeah. Well, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
and
mean,
yes, unfortunately, if you stop taking them, the
oh,
withdrawal is more painful than the reason that you started taking them for.
oh, amen, sister. Oh my,
So,
yeah. It's brutal.
yeah.
Yeah. It
So
is brutal.
I totally 100% understand, what you went through and how hard it
Thank you.
is. And it is a daily, I don't want to say job, but a daily quest to
Yeah. Hmm.
remain there.
Yeah.
It really is. And
Yeah.
I commend you. You're strong, very, very
Oh,
strong woman. Thank you so much.
oh my gosh.
Okay.
Thank you. I
All right.
need
I
to
didn't
hear
mean,
that. All right. No, no. All right. Off the soapbox for a moment, right? But I, yeah, so like I said, my husband did see that I was starting to get depressed and going back to these old ways. And so he says, why don't you pull your tarot cards out and do some readings? Now my husband, we've been together at that point 10 years, and he had, seriously, Tara, no idea of my magnitude of my abilities in 10 years, because I live in a state, and I'll be honest, that does not look at what I do as a good thing. It's not, it's a religious thing, and I respect the religion 100. I respect all religions for that matter. It's not my belief. And matter of fact, I left the LDS Church 12 years when I was 12 years old, and because it just didn't feel right. But I respect, all religion, and but because of that, I kept it so quiet and hidden for so long, and that included my husband and even my children. So when he said, "Get your tarot cards out," I literally was sitting on my bed with a TV tray, an old wooden TV tray. I had like 4 crystals and my old deck, and I was messaging people and saying, "Hey, are you up for a $5 reading or a free reading? I'm just wanting to get back into doing this." And it started out that way, and it just started to, in a very beautiful way, just start snowballing, and it just got bigger and bigger. And then I was able to charge a little bit more and a little bit more. Well, then I realized about 3 years ago, I was juggling full-time readings and my full-time job. And I looked at my husband and I said, I can't do this anymore. I either need to follow my purpose or I need to stay in my job. And so I'm so happy to say that this last July was my 2-year anniversary of quitting my job with the corporate world. And I've been pursuing my soul's purpose, and I've not looked back one single bit. And I mean, now I've had I booked out for months, which is such a blessing. And I look at it that way because I'll tell you, I have never been in a position where I've had to rely on other people to pay my bills. But let me tell you, I struggled to charge. I really did, because I want to help others, and I'm not doing this for the money. So that's why my prices are very low, very reasonable. And it's been incredible. I went to the bash, which I never thought I'd be able to do. I just, like, the universe has blessed me with so many amazing, things that have come up. And I just posted this on my page, but I also just got to where I got invited. I'll be at the New Jersey Paraunity. So I'll be there as
Yay!
a reader.
I normally go. I'm
Yes,
not really there, but my
yes.
fiance's son is getting married that same exact weekend. So this year I won't be there.
Oh,
Next year I will be there. So I'll
oh,
be there next year. So yay!
oh my
Congratulations!
gosh. Yes. Oh
We're
my
gonna
gosh.
have
Thank you.
so
Thank
much
you.
fun.
I cannot wait. I've never been to the East Coast until I came to Gettysburg. And oh my gosh, my husband and I and my daughter, my little JC, who is also gifted, we had so much fun in Pennsylvania. And I wish that we would have had more time, because there was so much that we wanted to do. And so now it's just going to be my hubby and I coming to New Jersey. And I have so many followers on the East Coast that they're all coming to Paraunity to come and say hi. And
That's awesome.
um, yeah, it's been incredible to be able to do this. And and this is my dream. This is what I want to do. This is where I want to share, what I know that is a God-given gift, to help people, to whether it's through my psychic abilities or my mediumship or both. So and I got to meet you, and I get to be here and do all these amazing opportunities.
Oh, I'm
So
so
it's,
so
yeah,
excited for you. See, and
thank
that's
you.
like the people that, you know, I love that money isn't the motivation for you. You know what I mean?
Never.
It's
uh,
helping people, and it's helping, because it helps you. Helping people helps you.
Absolutely,
You know what I mean? In a way, like
absolutely.
that is
Oh
something
yeah,
that fuels your soul. And you know,
yeah.
I'm excited for you. And
Thank
I'm
you,
excited you're gonna be at the expo. I mean, that expo
thank
is
you.
great. You are I'm so happy. I'm happy you were here on my show so that when make it and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, we want the mini medium at our expo." Um,
I love it.
she said, "I'm the
I
first."
I love it. Oh my gosh, I know. I when we chatted, and you invited me to be on, it was, I really, honestly, it was more about just sharing my journey and knowing that I have a past, and I have these struggles, but I've really pulled myself up and out of that. And I think that's my biggest story is my struggle with addiction. But to be able to share, these abilities to help others, I've taken the hard parts of my life and my past and turned it into more of, a positive to help others. And I
Absolutely.
And it's like you said, it's that exchange of energy, everything that you put out in the universe, it comes back, and it's that, karmic energy. And I don't do it to get back the good energy, but let's be honest, we all could use it. So, but
Yeah,
I
but if
do
you're
it
a good
more.
person, good things are gonna happen. If you're a good person,
Exactly.
it's the
Yeah.
people, and that brings up like Brandon Huck had a question here, which is valid. He said, "What would you say to someone who is skeptical of tarot? Have you ran into a bunch of fakes or frauds?" Like that seems to be one of the biggest challenges for people now, right? Because if you legit have an ability, if you, and I'm not picking on you, I'm just saying, like, if you are somebody
Right.
in your position who has these abilities, right, to be able to connect with those who've passed and this and that, and then you have all these other people that are, they don't, but they say they do, and people find
Sure.
it. So I mean, that it's running a little rampant in the field lately, you know what I mean?
I Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I love that. Fair, absolutely fair question. Coming from is it Brandon?
Yeah, Brandon.
Um, Brandon, no, absolutely good question and fair question. And I love that, that he asked this, because there are the charlatans out there. There are the fakes. And it's like you said, it is getting to be even more so. And it makes it really hard for those who are in it with the real true gifts and abilities, that are doing it with love and light and good intention, that have to work extra hard to prove themselves, and that's one thing I tell people, that I cannot tell my clients enough, that come to me and they say, I was referred to you. Because honestly, this is not something that you just want to Google or try to find someone, because you just don't know what you're going to get. And so I appreciate my referrals. I try to follow up and thank them. And, you know, my goal, really, if you will, and maybe lack of better words, is that when a client leaves, I tell them, all I want you to do at my hope, I don't care if you believe in what I do, I don't care. I just want you to sit in a session, listen to what is coming. If it's from my clairs, my psychic abilities, if it's from a loved one in spirit, wherever this is coming from, please just listen. And if you leave my room, a reading, or if we're doing Zoom or an event, if you leave just feeling a little bit better than when you came, I've done my job. I don't force people to become believers. Now, the question about the tarot, tarot's always had kind of a bad rap. It's always kind of been very taboo. Um, and I look at it this way. The tarot, for me, this is just for me, is just, again, helping my client believe in what I'm telling them, and it'll validate what I am telling them. The pictures, the numbers, it all just, and I'll explain as it's all together, because I have to do that to get someone to trust what I'm saying, is legit, if you will, and so, one of my favorite things to say when I do my big events is, I'll get up on, the stage, and it's so crazy. I can pick out my skeptics. I can feel their energy. I do Reiki as well, when I can just feel that. And I love picking on my skeptics. And the craziest thing is, they're the ones that end up getting the reading. They're the one that ends up having a loved one in spirit come in and give them all these beautiful messages. And they leave this might sound arrogant, and I don't mean it that way, but they leave my events or reading with tears in their eyes and going, what the just happened, and that isn't the purpose, but it sure like makes me smile,
Yeah.
um, and makes me feel good. So,
Yeah.
uh, but for me, I guess, the tarot, using the tarot cards, I feel is really, in my opinion, no different than using an SLS, or using, a ghost box, right? Or whatever may be. It's just a tool to help
Or
validate. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
I mean, you got to think the people that are coming to you aren't paranormal investigators, aren't people that, are in the paranormal field all the time. So I can appreciate which what I think you're saying is, you use the cards as a pictorial for the person who might not understand that side of it. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
yeah, I get it. I
Yeah.
get it. And it's hard if somebody doesn't know. I mean, before I was into the paranormal, I went to a couple of mediums, you know what I mean? After my father passed. And um,
Yeah.
you know, I went to two really good ones, and then there was one that was literally eating a powdered donut while she was talking, and then she's like gets a call, and she's like, "Oh, I gotta go. My daughter's ex boyfriend just kicked our front door in, and da da da." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "What is
Oh my
happening?"
gosh.
I'm like, "You didn't see that coming?"
I love that. That's
I'm like, "You didn't know
hilarious.
that was gonna happen?" Like, I want my money back.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, so
I,
yeah, I mean, and I'm not I wasn't this I'm not I'm a skeptic believer, right? And it's
yeah,
only I mean, that just comes down to like trust and dealing with people like that Brandon
sure.
said, you deal with a lot of frauds, and so it's hard
Hmm.
a lot of hard for people to trust that process.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Yeah, and I tell everybody you have got to have some form of skepticism. You have to, because if not, you're going to get taken advantage of. So the only thing I ask when clients come or see me, where like again events or private readings, just don't be cynical. If you come and sit with me and you're going to be a cynic and you're going to try to play games, no, which I've had that happen before, I very kindly ask that they leave because they're wasting their time and their money and mine, for that matter. But that's where we all need to have some skepticism. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
it's healthy. You
yeah,
know,
yeah. I see what you're, but if there's somebody that's there just to, I mean that anybody could feel that energy in any room. You know what I mean? If somebody's there
yeah.
just, very negatively, and, if you have that negative, you're
Oh
putting that,
yeah.
people feel that, and they feed off of
Oh
it.
yeah.
Good space to be
Oh
in when you're
yeah.
doing what you're trying to do. Brandon said,
Oh
"Thank you
yeah.
for your answer. I was trained by a medium who taught me how to investigate." So he was just, carrying.
Oh, I love that. You're welcome.
Um,
I love that.
it is. Oh, did I miss? Hold on a second, Brandon. Sorry. I was getting to a Jing. A Jing is a very good friend of mine. She lives in Indonesia. So you're being watched in Indonesia right now.
Oh my gosh, I feel honored. That's awesome.
Um,
Hi,
and it's
Ajane. I love that.
actually finally just agreed to come on my show because she's coming on to talk about the paranormal things and her side of things from Indonesia, what
Wow.
they believe in and their beliefs and all this and that. So that'll be cool. But anyway,
Oh, I can't. I want to watch that. I'm interested. That's cool.
yeah. She said, when you were a child, how did you feel receiving the gift of sensitivity, and how did you deal with it? Did you feel afraid? Maybe she did say this in the beginning, but if you just want to tell her quickly.
Yeah, sure. Of course. Yeah. For one, I never was afraid, and I think a lot of that is because my mom, for the most part, she was she encouraged it, encouraged my, as she would say, my imagination and things. She would never discourage me. And I think that helped a lot, that I didn't feel like I was weird or, or different or whatever it may be. And so that helped a lot. And, I kind of side little side note, but I do help with parents who have gifted children now. And I help the parents to what to do and how to do, life with a child that's gifted, because we don't have a lot of those resources out there. And this is the legacy we're leaving behind. These children that are very gifted need to feel like that they're welcome and that they're not weird or different, or they have a mental, issue, whatever, lack of probably better word, but the sensitivity that I had throughout my whole childhood, I think that is why I would never mesh with the other kids because the energy was too much, you know. It was just a lot. And I always found myself alone and I was okay with that, you know.
Right. But see, but you know how it feels. So, helping the parents, and that's good that parents have that outlet.
Yeah,
Because if you don't, if you're not into it or you don't know anything about it, that can be kind of scary.
absolutely. Oh, yeah. And, you know, that's exactly why the parents come to me because they're like, my child, you know, keeps saying they're seeing someone in our house and I'm afraid. And I'll go to the home. And that's really what I do with my paranormal teams I work with here in Utah is my initial job is to walk into the home and to feel the energy, see if there's any areas that, you know, that maybe we need to avoid or to really focus on. And I do the same, you know, with the home cleanses I do, or just to, you know, go and validate to a parent that there's no worry. This is not an entity, or you know, this is literally, you know, your dad that's here, you know, and it helps the parents so that the child who's very sensitive knows as they're connecting with mom and dad with their empath, you know, abilities that it's okay, you know. So it's just it's huge, you know, and it starts out as such a small little seed, you know, and we just have to be careful that we're kind of nurturing these kids, you know.
Yeah, and I think it helps too because now the child knows you help the parents understand, therefore it helps the child to be able to talk to them and the parents understand what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, and that
Yep,
makes it so much better for everybody, you know?
absolutely, absolutely.
Brandon says, I run a team here on the East Coast. If I FaceTimed you at a location, could you see spirits that way? I guess remote view.
Absolutely. One of my strongest of my abilities, if you will, really is, you know, my clairvoyancy, remote viewing. I teach classes, and my students, that's one of my favorite things to do is remote viewing, or the Estes method, you know, of just trying to, you know, connect, you know, through sensory deprivation. So, absolutely, I've done that a couple times.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, I've had that, where I go live on a location, do an investigation, and I've had a couple people jump on, and maybe one day you and I might be able to do that together.
Yeah, I would love to. Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, Now, what? So how? So you said you were booked until like? Does this include everything? Like, like do you when you say you help people, parents? Is this like at will call? Like somebody calls or reaches out to you and says, "Hey, my kid, we were referred to you by somebody because my kid is having a problem," or do you have like, do you put out things like, "Hey, sign up for this if you want to learn about this"?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, both. So my website primarily is for, you know, private readings and parties and, you know, group sessions and events and blah blah blah. It's all that Reiki. I do cord cutting as well. So that's a little bit more structured. But if I get a, you know, a message from a parent who is frantic, that goes into my priority, and then, you know, I'll get them in, you know, as soon as I can. And, you know, my classes that I teach, those are more structured, and, you know, they start out, you know, well, my next one's not till January because I'm in my busiest time of my, you know, of the year right now. But, you know, so those are more structured, but I do, you know, I do have ad hoc things that come up, and you know, and I really want to try to get out there of like what you said, of people signing up, especially parents, to learn how to connect with their children or even to their own abilities. You know, so um, that's my purpose. That's why I'm here. My soul is here for that reason, and I always say if you can't stop thinking about something, then that is your purpose, and you've got to go for it. You know, if you can do that and feed your family on top of it, well, kudos. It's even better. You know, so
Right.
it's
I
yeah,
know. We say this all the time, right? Like what I would love, I hope my boss isn't watching, but I would love to quit my job and just get paid for what I do. My show, my paranormal investigating, and this,
Yeah.
I don't want to be on TV. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I could make money doing what I love the most. Absolutely,
Yeah.
I would do it all day long, but that's not my driving force, right? So
Yeah.
my show I do because I want I want to promote people. I want to get people to listen to, because if somebody, like you said, if somebody stops at the end of my show and they're like, wow, like I learned something or I got something out of that made me feel better or made me happy, like that's all I want. I always celebrate, share my show out, not for me, not for Paranormal Brew,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I want people to share it for you, you know um
Yeah. I
so
love that.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I totally understand what you're saying about all that stuff. Like, and I agree. I agree with you.
Yeah. And
Um,
I love that. I love that about you, Taryn, because that is your purpose. That is why you are doing what you do. It's about um, taking something that you worked so hard to get to. Because I read about your story and read where you came from, and we have a lot in common, my friend. We have to like sit down and chat more about that. But
yeah.
you've taken the energy, the time, all of that. And now you have put it into this format to where now people can, know that it's okay to, say that you hear and feel and see other things, and know it's okay, that if you believe in Bigfoot or aliens or whatever it is, and, I just did Phenomicon here in Bernal, Utah. And that's one thing, the what's it called? The main saying, if you will, said, "We believe." And that's why I love the paranormal family of people, because you don't feel weird,
Right.
or you're crazy. I've
Right.
been told that my whole life.
I mean, some people are a little crazy with some of the stuff they say, but
Fair
there's
enough.
yeah. But for the most part, everybody is I do think, so if you think about what made all this mainstream, it was Ghost Hunters, right? They came out in 2004.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be all these paracons, there wouldn't be all these shows, there wouldn't be all this if it wasn't for Ghost Hunters, right? And like, there is a generation that grew up with Ghost Hunters.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
there was this generation that grew up with Ghost Adventures.
Yeah.
They're two different generations. They have two different styles of doing things. They have two different things, and I see that's my belief anyway.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So, when those two when you try to collide those two, like it just goes like this, because the ones over here, and I'm not dissing anybody for the way they invest
Right.
or whatever. I mean, you have entertainment and you have the investigating stuff.
Right. Yep. I know exactly what
What
you
I'm saying?
mean.
Like, and
Yep.
entertainment is great. Like,
Of course.
okay, fine. You want to jump around and say it's a demon and blah blah, but make sure people know it's entertainment. Don't say it's. You want to watch
Yes.
like, like right now I'm subscribed to Jason Hall's channel because the way he investigates, the way they investigate is what I like to watch, because that's to me
Yep.
is real,
Me
right?
too. Yep.
And not
Yep.
real. I know it's YouTube, I know it's whatever, but to me that's how we really do it. I don't want to watch somebody jumping around, and because I know that you're not getting 1,000 EVPs in 4 seconds. You know what I mean? Like, I know that.
Exactly. Yeah. I know. Well, I actually got to do an investigation with Ghost Adventures with Zach Fagan and all of them here in Utah with one of the teams I work with. Now, I wasn't selected to be on the show, but I was there and watched. It's out here in Utah. It's an Antelope Island, but it's Fielding Ranch. And I've investigated that area many times with the team I work with. And a lot of what was brought up on the show, I've never personally experienced it. I don't know anyone else that has experienced it, but I get why they do what they do. I get the entertainment value.
Oh yeah, I mean they're making money.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. Yeah, but I'm in this more for it to help others to understand the paranormal, to feel like, they don't have to be scared of certain, bumps in the night, or, I don't want people, when I go out and do an investigation and I'm channeling a loved one on the other side, or channeling, a earthbound, soul, or whatever may be, that it's scary, and that, it's going to come at me. I want them to go, okay, well, what can I do to help that soul cross over? And I do that a lot of the time. So I totally get what you're saying, hun. There's two different sides of it, and there's two different audiences, right? It's
Absolutely.
very
Yeah.
different. And
Yeah.
I feel like it's no different than with readers. So I the way I read is going to be different from another reader's, way they do it. But if the overall goal is the same, then so be it.
Right, right, right. And in that instance, yes. But like with this instance, it's like, okay, we want to be famous, we want to make money, we want to be on TV. You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can look back. I remember my childhood. I wanted to be Madonna. You know what I mean? I
Me
would
too.
like I was like, I want to be a famous singer. I would like picture myself like on stage one day singing to like thousands of people. You know what I mean? Like, of course,
Of
yeah.
course.
Who doesn't want
Yeah.
stuff? But as you grow up, you start to realize, like, okay, okay, like it's I am having.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I had a
I
question.
love that.
Yeah, like I mean, so and then you have the ones over here that are looking for real answers and true
Yes.
answers. Like they're not going in a place knowing they're going to find something. They're going into a place searching and looking for answers and researching and investigating, and you know what I mean.
Yes.
And to me, that's what I love, right? So I don't know where I was going with this. I had a question for you.
It's okay. I'm telling you, I get it. I get it. I told people I'm almost 50, and I'm like, okay, it's like I'm ready to lose my mind.
Yeah.
It's been
So
crazy.
you're bringing up like telling people not to be scared. Here's the funny thing. Um, I've been at work, not investigating, and hurt, and I have sometimes I'm clairaudient, so sometimes I could
Yes.
hear responses.
Yeah.
That's the extent of anything that I can do besides investigate. I
Yeah.
have great hearing. But I'll be at work. Sometimes I hear stuff. Investigations, I hear stuff. I'm at home. If I hear something, I get scared.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
don't know why that is. Like anywhere else, like I literally sat inside the Hinsdale house for 2.5 hours by myself, investigated, and I was not the least. Nothing ever gave me butterflies in my stomach. Nothing ever stopped made me hold my breath and go, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if I'm like in my own house and I think I hear something, I'm like, I literally get
Well, yeah. And I'll tell you how how I feel about that, or maybe why it is that, when you're home, that's your safe space. And, when you're home and you have, your clairaudient kicks in and you hear something, for one, it can make you go, well, shit, did I bring an attachment with me? Do I have something with me? Or am I hearing my loved one on the other side? And if I am, what do I do with this? And so I get it. And, to be honest, I kind of have the same, situations as well. I can go do an investigation and I am not one bit scared. Um, I have a lot of activity in my home. I have my mom's ashes, my dad's ashes. Yes, they are not there with the ashes, but their energy is. And I wear my mom's
uh oh.
psychometry, right? The psychometry
You wear
is
your
what
mom's what? Literally the thing like blacked out and then came back. You said I wear my mom's.
I wear my mom's ring, and I'm telling you, the energy in my room just changed the minute that happened when I mentioned my mama. So I'm telling you, she's here. I have
Oh,
to keep
that's
rubbing
good.
my, yes, I can feel her. I love it. But I'll be home. And matter of fact, really quick example. I did a reading last night, pretty late, and the couple that came in, he was really struggling with his mom's passing. He never got the chance to tell her goodbye. And I don't share a lot about readings that or put names out there. I'm very careful about that. So I can tell you though that you know, he wasn't a skeptic, but he was a skeptic believer, like you. And we picked up the most beautiful messages. And in his reading, another loved one had unfortunately hung themselves. And I mean, I could go into all the examples and stories of how it affects my body. Um, but what was really interesting is we had too many schnauzers, and animals are very sensitive. They're pure souls, so they connect with the other side, and my one dog's name is Gypsy, and which it's so fitting. But just as I was channeling the soul of the loved one that hung himself, um, my husband showed me on the video. She went nuts down, and I'm upstairs. They're downstairs. And she started whining and shaking and was like, she ran up to my room and sat at the door. And it was like she was, you know, scared for me, maybe nervous for me. Well, after the client left and I staged my room, I always am mindful of cleansing and asking any souls to go back. And I'll break my connection with souls and send them along with their loved ones here in the physical world. And I went, and when my husband told me this, just like you, Taryn, I had chills. I was scared. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I think that, in my opinion, that is our human side, and that's the protective mechanism of our human side. When you go and do your investigations, your soul is excited. It's your soul
Yeah.
connecting, knowing that you're going to be okay, So
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. I have it, happen to me too.
Yeah. Kim is asking, can you see and talk with your loved ones?
Um, no, I wish I could. Now, you will find that a lot of seasoned mediums cannot channel their loved ones on the other side, their family. And it drives me crazy. I will get smells, I'll smell my mom's perfume once in a while, or my dad smoked pot all the time. So
What a good
I'll,
smell to smell.
yeah,
Like that.
I'm like,
Give me a contact
right?
spot.
Exactly. I'm like, puff, puff, past dad. What the heck, But that's his kind of sign, if you will. We'll get signs and symbols all the time, and very typical. But for me to hear them, and maybe some, just to kind of explain, when clairaudient kicks in and I hear a loved one on the other side or a spirit guide, whatever it may be, the way I explain it to people is I'm not literally hearing their voice. It's a thought that pops in my head, and I know it's not my thought. The only time I connect with their voice, quote unquote, is like if they had a smoker's voice where they had that kind of raspy, or if they had a high pitched or a very low monotone, then the thought will come into my head that way. And if I get that, that's my job to validate to the client, did your dad or mom smoke? Did they have a high voice? So I don't unfortunately hear my loved ones, and it's actually very common for mediums to not. And after 28 years of doing this, I have realized that it's okay, because it's the fact that I can't get out of my conscious mind, get into my subconscious. I can't connect to my higher self and get to that high vibration, because my human side is too scared to do that. It's a protective thing. And I'm okay with that now. I dream of them once in a while, you
That makes
know.
sense, because I'm the same way. I remember when my dad passed, I remember I was I was I was already like, no, it was after he had passed a little bit because like I said, I really didn't get into this until I started watching Ghost Hunters but I remember like going to his grave one time and I was just like, all right, Dad, all right, I do this now. You know what I mean? Like I'm
Yeah.
afraid, you can come say hi, you can, da, da, da.
Yeah.
I had a visit dream of him with him. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and there's been other things, like you said. I've had one visit dream, and there's been things that have occurred. My dad likes to do things in a long, drawn out way to where when it comes to the end, when I realize it's him, and I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh. And you connect the dots. And so the story, I could write a book about I could write a book about it because it's
Yeah.
so, what the things that he has done to make himself known without me seeing and hearing him.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but I wanted so
Right.
bad. And I wanted, I guess because I'm older and with how things happen, like I want so badly for my mom to just come and talk to me.
Yeah. I'm the same way, hon. Yep.
I
I'm the
want
same
it
way.
so bad, like I'm
Yep.
desperate. You know what I mean? Just to be like,
Yep.
it sucks that
It does.
I can go into this abandoned building somewhere and hear something say my name, but
Yep.
I can't get I can't get my mom to do it. And
Yeah.
she was a
And
believer. She was a believer in all this stuff.
mine too. Oh, yeah. I can't help but think that your mom and my mom are on the other side, and they're right now watching us, going, "We're here, we're here," and they're cheering us on, and that's how we met. I have a very strong feeling that that's how we met. That our moms collaborated, and because my mom was a huge believer, and that's I just the other day, my mom's been gone 12 years, almost 12 years, and just a couple days ago, I broke down. Matter of fact, it's when I found out I was going to be at the New Jersey Para Unity Convention or Expo, and I just broke down. I'm like, God, I wish my mom was here because she
Yeah.
would just be beaming and would be so proud. And my husband said, "Honey, I have a feeling that your mom is the reason why you are where you are because our loved ones in spirit are so powerful. They can make things happen. They can guide us and push us. And when I quit my, very well paying job, I know for a fact that that was my mom, inspiring and pushing me and, and still has me going. So the human side wants them here in the physical so bad, of course, but
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. I just, I'll have little, I call them postcards from heaven. I'll get those from my mom and, dad a little bit, dreams. But I'm like, why can't I feel you like I do others, other loved ones in spirit? Why can't I hear you? Um, my clairaudience, probably my strongest of my abilities. Claircognizant, clairvoyant, but clairgustant to taste, right, and smell and stuff. Oh my gosh, I know I'm kind of jumping a little bit, but I had one the other day where I was tasting black licorice,
Oh,
and oh yes, thank you.
oh,
I'm looking at this lady and I'm going, did your dad like black licorice? We were channeling her dad. And she goes, no, no. And I'm like, I can taste black licorice. It's really gross. And I says, I'm sorry, but I got to validate this or it'll stay. And then all of a sudden, a bottle of Jägermeister popped up. And I was like, wait a minute. I said, I'm seeing a bottle of Jaeger, which tastes like black licorice, right? And she goes, well, my dad's last name is Jaeger. Could that be it?
yeah.
So that's where, and my point of this for you, my friend, and for me is that we may not get the literal connections, but the figurative, kind of, the senses, those we just got to pay attention to those,
I love
and
it. Those are the things I love, like for it to work
me
that
too.
way, how it
Yeah,
goes
me
around,
too.
because then it's like, oh, yeah, okay.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's beautiful.
So, do you go to a medium or anything like that? Like, do you ever get readings?
Um, I have not been able to find someone who I feel is able to read me, I guess, if you will. And I don't know if that's because maybe they're not legit, I don't know, or maybe they just are struggling to connect or whatever. So I would love to be able to find somebody who could, I would say the reader wants a reading, the healer needs healing. So I've had a few kind of little one-offs, that have been okay, but uh, yeah, I'm yet to find somebody that's been able to read me. I'm open, obviously, I'm ready,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
What do you think
I
about past life regression, like our past lives? Do you believe in past lives?
I absolutely, I believe in past lives, absolutely, and that's kind of on my, I guess, my to-do list with things that I'm trying to tap into my abilities more is I really want to learn to do past life regression and help people because it's just like when you come into this world, I really feel your souls have many lives, and that's why I like my little girl. Well, she's a little, she's 12 now, but she's an old soul. I know she's had many lives. She doesn't mesh with children her age. She's always, been more mature and, meshed with the older crowd. And, I truly feel that when you have a fear or a phobia, let's say you're scared of the water, well, you probably drowned in a past life, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, absolutely. I do.
And I love
100%.
your husband seems very supportive.
He is. Yes. Oh
Amazing.
yeah. I'll tell you, he's he's amazing with all of this because he doesn't like to do the investigation stuff. It scares him. He's like, I don't want anything to do with that. And he'll even tell me, through some of my readings, and he's always at my events, and so supportive. And people have asked him, well, how do you feel about this? And he says, it scares the shit out of me, so I just don't want to hear it. And
He's
I'm like, yeah. I said, fair enough, honey. Fair enough.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, I'm not doing what you do, but he's like, I don't want to know it exists. Like, I'm good.
yep.
Like, he's like,
Yep.
I don't know. Nope. I was like, you were like a lieutenant in the army, and blah blah blah. He's like, nope, I'm good.
That's how mine is. Yep. He's like, you do you, honey. And I'll go take my pictures. So, okay, you got it. But he's my biggest fan, and his side of the family, my in-laws, because my mom and dad aren't here, and I really don't have my side of the family that, I'm close with. So his family is my family, and they all are so supportive, regardless of their religious background. I mean, they're always at my events and they're front row, and so I couldn't be more blessed with the fact that I have that support, and
Or, yeah,
it's so important, it
it
really
is.
is.
It is.
Yeah.
But again, you get what you put out.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So, and that's important. I mean, and that's what people fail to understand is like, when the good things happen to good people,
Absolutely.
you know.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and I think it's wonderful. I think you're wonderful.
Oh, I think you're wonderful.
It's
I
like
love it.
a breath of fresh air. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Oh,
it's, to hear, we're like-minded in a lot of ways. And so, you know, um, I've had my fair share of doozies, you know, but
ah,
I can tell, that you speak from your heart, and I love that about you.
oh, thank you. That means so much. And I that's the biggest compliment that I can get because that's really who I am and what I strive for. So I I I always say what you see is what you get. So I might not be everyone's cup of tea, but it's okay.
Yeah, it's all right, you know.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
not you. It's not you.
No,
I, it's not you. I
I
promise. I apologize.
no, no, I get it. I believe me. Yeah, it's. all this energy, and it's the eclipse, so it's very much expected.
Phew, it is like all of a sudden, you know, I get like the yawns.
Yep.
Uh,
Oh yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
so where can or do you have a website where people can? I'll type it in. I'll type it
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
comments so people can, and I'll put it up. But where can people
Okay.
go to like find you? Like
Yeah. So my website is so MINI, mini-medium.com. Super easy. And on my website has all of my, social media platforms. You can just click on it, it'll take you to the Facebook and Instagram and my YouTube channel and all of that stuff. And you
mini
can
dash
book,
medium, right?
yep, mini-medium.com. Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Very
And yeah, everything's there. My Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the good stuff. You can book from there. You can write or read, testimonials. My assistant, she's amazing. She's my savior. She's like, I don't know what I do without her. So she helps with, building all that and keeping it going. And it'll have all my event information of where I'll be and buying tickets and all that goodness. So, my Facebook is just mini medium, just, as it is. I'm more on Facebook because that seems to be where majority of my, followers are. But my
yeah.
Instagram actually got hacked about a year ago ish, and I had to start all over. So, but that one is mini medium 7'5". 7'5" is the year I was born. So I was like, here, let me just tell you how old I am. But,
Girl, you look good.
yeah,
What are you
thank
talking
you.
about?
Oh, you're so sweet. I love it. I'm
You do.
trying. It's all happiness, right? Once you find your happiness, you just glow,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, so Instagram, mini medium 7'5", and then also YouTube is mini medium 7'5". And I'm really trying to segue to YouTube because I feel like it's just safer. You don't get all of the damn trolls and all the other crap. And, but every Wednesday night, except for tonight, I'm not going to, but every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Mountain Time, I do about 2, sometimes 3 hours of free readings. That's what I love, giving back that energy and just help as many people as I can that way that can't afford to get a reading. And, so a lot of my followers look forward to hopping on every Wednesday night. And, so
I
that's,
feel bad. I feel bad. We could have made
yeah,
it a different night. We could have did it a
no.
night.
Oh, no, no, I don't want you to feel bad at all. No, actually, this worked out perfect because I had some other, I guess, priorities, other kind of commitments. And so my followers knew that I wasn't going to be live tonight.
Good.
But I always make up for it somewhere down the line anyway. So, no, it worked out just fine, hon. No worries. So, but yeah, that's all of my, all my info out there. And, I always say if you're wanting a private reading, Zoom works just as good. I mean, you don't get the feeling, right? You don't get the vibe, the feeling is in person, but the Zooms are just as good. And
Good.
then
So
of course yeah,
yeah, you
yeah,
can do
yeah,
virtual readings and stuff. Awesome.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'm happy to meet anybody. I always ask people how you found me. Always nice to know where, where the connections are coming from. So I would
How
love
did
to
you
see some.
how did you get to the bash? Do you know Pam and Steve?
No. Okay. So I went, and don't shoot me for this because I didn't know like the whole backstory, but my first convention was the Las Vegas Para Unity convention. I just found out about all of that. And to be honest, that was my first time ever attending any kind of paranormal convention. So while I was there with my kind of I went with my paranormal team, but I was kind of my own entity. I was doing my own thing, and I met Kevin and Susan,
Oh, okay.
and they came with their daughter and had a reading, and we just clicked, and they're amazing people. And then Susan and Kevin had said, You should come out. They moved from, the California area. I believe it's California. They're probably ongoing stuff here. Crazy. I think that's where they were, and then moved all the way across the country to Gettysburg area, right, to Pennsylvania area. And they said, you need to come do the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. And at that time, I said, I don't know if I can afford it. I don't know if I can make it work. And it last minute, it worked. And that's how I got out there. And then, met Steve and Pam. And I mean, everybody at that event,
me tell you something.
everybody was just amazing, just
That
so
event
kind.
here,
Oh,
that's like, I
yeah.
mean, we've been doing this event for a long time, but this past year, there was something different in the air. There was,
Oh,
it was amazing. I mean, it was
oh,
just
good.
beyond amazing. I mean, we talked about it for weeks afterwards because, most of us that have been going there for so long, and it's just like, what was there was just everybody was just everybody was having fun, but everybody was working together so hard to raise all this money.
Yeah,
And like it
yeah,
was just it was beautiful. I like it was one of my favorite events ever. Just because
yeah.
of all the people and the energy and how everybody was just so like in sync. It felt like I don't know. It was there was
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I can't, I don't know how past years were. I can just say being my first year, I was like, oh my gosh, and here's what's interesting. The first day, I think it was a Thursday, I did not do one reading, but you know what? I was okay with that. I was talking to people, I was kind of networking, but I was just sitting there and I got to actually relax and meet people and mingle and shop. And it was just like, okay. The next 2 days I was slammed. So it was
good.
perfect. But you're right. The energy, the vibration there, the people, it was very, it filled up my soulful cup, I'll say.
Yeah, it did. Me
So,
too. It was great. And not to mention it's in Gettysburg, the best place on the universe. So
right.
that
And
always
I'd never been to Gettysburg. So I was like, I didn't know what to expect. And matter of fact, when we pulled into the parking lot of the hotel, I stayed at the other one. I can't remember the name of it offhand, but not the one that it was in, the other. But
yeah, the
um,
Aspire, yeah.
yeah, the Aspire. We pulled into the parking lot, and I looked at my husband. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I could just feel all of it, just everything. It's like
Funny because
flood.
people say, "Oh, I'm going to the battlefield." The whole town was the battlefield.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. It
Did
was,
you get a
I mean,
chance to go to the park?
did I what, hun?
Did you get a chance to drive through the park or anything, or were you at the
Yeah.
hotel all the time? Oh, good.
No, yeah, we did. And we did the ghost tour with the one that Andy, is it Andrew, Andy that does?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ghost City. We did that one, and that was so much fun. And yeah, we got the chance to drive around. And my husband's a landscape and wildlife photographer, so he got some incredible pictures. And
I love
matter of
that.
fact, my daughter, okay, I got to share this. My daughter, JC, who is 12, she's getting this, she's very much following daddy's footsteps in the photography world. She took a picture of, and it was at the park. And I know this is sounding so bad, but I don't know the name of the big old statue there, but she took a picture of that. She just entered that picture. I'll post it on my Facebook page and everywhere so people can see. And she entered that picture into the Utah State Fair, and she won second place.
That's awesome. Good for her.
Isn't that? Yeah, she was like crying, and I was crying. Her dad is crying.
Listen,
um,
Gettysburg is such
yeah.
a picturesque place. Like, I mean,
Oh,
the pictures
yeah.
people get from there are just, I would
Incredible.
prefer to be number one just because of the location, but
Yeah. Well, I Kevin and Susan are they already told me, gave me a heads up. We're going to try to convince you guys to move, up, back east. And I said, it's not me you have to convince, it's him.
you live in Utah, right? You said?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. We're out in
I
Utah.
do hear that Utah is equally as beautiful.
It is. It is. That's the hard part of leaving. The mountains here are just amazing and breathtaking. And in Utah, you can drive, you can drive an hour, maybe 2 hours north or east and go snow skiing. And then you drive 3 hours south, 4 hours south, and you can go swimming and be in the heat. It's like you can get, the best of many worlds. And, so it's hard to leave, it is. But the housing here is so expensive. It
Is
is ridiculous. Oh, it's
it?
ridiculous. I mean, yeah, you can't afford to buy a home out here. And matter of fact, my husband just sent me a listing in Gettysburg. I think it's in Gettysburg. It's in Pennsylvania. This home is gorgeous. I think it's on 2 acres. It's got 4 bedrooms, 3 baths or something. And it's very the colonial style, which I love. And so I think it was listed for 400, 500,000. Here in Utah, that home would be about 2 million. That's how bad.
Really?
Yep. Oh yeah. It's awful. Yeah. So I'm like, maybe that might convince us to.
I'm telling
Oh,
you, yeah. I mean, even being in Jersey, it's expensive to live in Jersey. I mean, I want to move to Gettysburg, but
yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I know.
one
Well, I
day.
can't wait to be out that way, here in the next, 6 weeks. So super excited to be at
New
the expo. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
The state of New Jersey is you're gonna have an experience.
I'm all for it. I'm ready. I think.
Just squirt yourself with holy water and just or say, just to keep the good vibes people around you because
Oh, good. Oh, good. I've heard
people
about
at
you
the
East Coast
expo,
peeps.
the people at the expo are great. I'm not talking about the expo itself. I'm just talking
Yes.
about if you go to drive to Wawa down the street, you know,
Yes.
just
Yeah.
you know, that's what I'm talking about.
Are you telling me to just, put my head down, walk in, get done what I got to do, and not do the normal Stephanie friendly, say hi to everybody?
I'm saying just don't take anything to heart.
Yeah. Hey, duly noted. Fair enough.
I'm really sad I'm not going to get to see you there. How far are you from Vegas?
It's about a 5 hour, 6 hour drive. It's not bad.
Hmm. I'm going to be there in next August 9th. I'll be in Vegas, but I'm hoping to see you before that. I mean, there's a few
Yeah,
Paracons. There's Penhurst. Then there's the Bash again. Are you going back to the Bash next year?
I am. Yep, I am.
Yay!
I
So
know. Yes. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah. As long as they'll keep having me, I'll be there.
yeah, yep. And I definitely will be at Power Unity next year because I'm not missing it again. But
Yeah,
so I'll
good.
definitely see you there. But um, hoping soon, hopefully sooner. Like if something comes up and you get down this way, we'll have to meet up.
Yeah,
Or
I would love that.
if I do an investigation, maybe we can connect and I can
Yeah,
we can do something that way.
yeah, I would love that. You just let me know when, and I'll make it work.
Well, Steph, thank you so much for coming on.
Of
Um,
course.
you were wonderful. Thank you for sharing your stories and thank you for talking about yourself. I mean, some of the stuff is very personal but I want you to know I appreciate you and I think you're a magnificent person. You're an inspiration from where you came from and where you're going.
Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. And I thank you seriously from the bottom of my heart for having me, on the show here. And, just your pure, true love for the paranormal and your passion. I know for a fact is why we met and what brought us together. And, I can't wait to see what comes future wise, for both of us,
Yeah, for sure. Yes,
exciting.
absolutely. And you'll have to come
Yeah.
on again. Maybe you could come on on a Sunday, so I don't interfere with your stuff. But Maybe
Yeah.
we can pick 10 people to do readings for or something like that, and you can do them on the show and
Yeah,
give
I
them
would love that.
a night
I
to
would
do
love
that.
that.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
I love you. I'll say that because
Uh,
I truly feel that you're a good asset for our field and our community. And, you're a positive influence, so I thank you so much for being here. And,
sure.
and
Thank
I,
you for having me.
yeah, and keep in touch. We'll definitely keep in touch and,
Yes.
definitely work together again.
I love it. I love it. And thank you. And I love you too. And thank you for just being who you are and everything that you do for everyone else too. So you're amazing.
Thank you, honey. You are too. And I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Okay. All right. We'll
You have a
talk
good
to you
night.
soon. Okay. You too, hon. Bye, everybody.
Wow. She was awesome, right? Great, great guest. Thank you guys so much for being here. Again, share the show out. Not for Paranormal Brew, but for Stephanie. She really is a good referral to have. If you're looking for readings, if you're looking for classes, go check her out. Mini medium.com. I did share she said her Facebook's a little bit better. She's on there more. But you know, go check her out. She's awesome. She's adorable. She's literally like 5 foot. And I could be wrong, but she's this cute little. When she says mini medium, she is really mini, and I love it. I think she's so cute and adorable. But thank you guys for being here, and I will see you guys next week for another episode of Paranormal Brew. Oh, I will be live Saturday. This Saturday, me and the Peaches will be at Bird Mansion doing a public investigation, helping them out. We have sold 25 tickets, I think, which is awesome. All the money goes toward back into the historical site. We get nothing. It goes back to the Bird Mansion and the community center. So I'm proud of us that we sold that many tickets, and we're gonna have fun. So I'm gonna try to go live. I always say I'm gonna go live, and I never do, but I will try to go live just to maybe briefly. But other than that, I'll be back here on Wednesday. Thank you guys for watching.